The temperature of their foods is an innate quality, and that's whether something's warm or cold, neutral. We don't tend to think about this so much in Western culture. It's very common in Asian cultures, where you think like, oh wow, this is a really hot food, you can't eat too much of it. Or wow, this is really cold, this is going to cause problems. Okay? So, for instance, ginger, garlic, and onion, these are warm. And they're really good at warming the digestion. So if you have difficulty digesting foods, these are great. If you run too hot, you have to be careful. You're going to want to use this sparingly. But don't cut it out all the way. When I was diagnosed, when I first started getting Chinese medicine, I told you I had stomach fire. I mentioned that before. And they were like, okay, you really need to not do ginger, garlic, spicy food, none of that. And I was like, haha, sure. But once I finally did that, I cut all of it out. But I went too far. And what happened was I wasn't warming with ginger, garlic, or onion. I wasn't warming my digestive system enough, and eventually my digestive fire started going down. Right? And so you have to like rebalance. So take this and take it as a sign. Like if you have too much heat in your system, sure, I'm not going to want to eat all these warming foods, but I still want to have some of it. You don't want to take it to any extreme. Watermelon and cucumber, both of these are really cool. They're very cooling. And so getting back to the winter melon, or excuse me, the bitter melon, having too much of it when something's too cold, what it's going to do to the digestive fire, it's going to destroy the digestive fire. It's going to bring it down slowly but surely. It's going to keep doing it. Had a Chinese patient who came in. He was like, "Yeah, I have a cold middle jiao. I have a cold digestive system." I was like, "Oh yeah, how did you know?" He's like, "Oh, when I was a kid, I ate too much watermelon. I loved it. I ate it all the time." And that's what my doctors told me. Cold middle jiao. And I still suffer from it. So he just like ate way too much, way too much, way too much. Or I have a student who I was talking about recently. She's like, "Yeah, my mom used to always tell me not to eat too much watermelon. I loved it though. I loved it. But then I'd get sick stomach and she'd be like, I told you." And so like this is part of Asian culture. But that's the key principle. You don't want too much cooling foods at any given time. There are certain situations where it's okay, but you have to be careful not to overdo it.